Today, we're revealing the rarest and most valuable U.S. Roosevelt dimes, the incredible mint errors collectors fight over, and the tiny details that can turn an ordinary 10-cent coin into a life-changing treasure. Stay with us. You might discover you've been carrying a fortune without even knowing it. What if I told you that a single 1987 Roosevelt dime could be worth more than a luxury mansion? Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a dime worth just 10 cents, spending it on a cup of coffee without a second thought, when that very coin could have been worth as much as $939,000 under the right circumstances. It sounds unbelievable, but stories like this are exactly why serious collectors inspect every coin before letting it leave their hands. The difference between a spender and a collector isn't how much money they have. It's what they notice. While millions of people spend their change every day, a handful of knowledgeable collectors quietly search for tiny details that can transform ordinary-looking coins into extraordinary treasures. Before you dismiss the change sitting in your wallet or that old coin jar collecting dust on a shelf, you may want to hear this entire story, because one overlooked detail could make all the difference. The 1987 Roosevelt dime was struck at the Philadelphia Mint during a period when billions of coins were entering circulation across America. Most of these dimes served their purpose in everyday commerce and continue circulating today with little attention from the public. At first glance, there is nothing extraordinary about the design. The familiar portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt appears on the obverse, while the reverse features the torch representing liberty, flanked by olive and oak branches symbolizing peace and strength. Yet beneath this ordinary appearance lies a fascinating possibility that has kept collectors searching for decades. Unlike proof coins produced specifically for collectors, the standard 1987 Roosevelt dime was created for everyday use. The overwhelming majority remain worth only face value unless they survive in exceptional uncirculated condition. However, the coin collecting world has taught us one important lesson over and over again. It isn't always the date that creates enormous value. It is the combination of rarity, condition, and genuine mint errors that can send prices soaring beyond anyone's expectations. Now here's where this story becomes far more interesting. Right now, if you have a jar of old coins somewhere in your home, pause for just a second and think about it. How long has it been since you actually looked through those dimes? Not counted them, actually inspected them. Most people never do, and that's exactly why remarkable discoveries continue to happen. Professional numismatists know that minting errors are often hidden in plain sight. During the minting process, thousands of dies strike planchets under tremendous pressure every hour. When something goes wrong at precisely the wrong moment, the result can be a coin unlike any other. These accidents are rare, unpredictable, and highly sought after by advanced collectors. One of the most desirable possibilities involves dramatic doubled die varieties. This occurs during die creation when design elements are impressed more than once in slightly different positions. Under magnification, collectors may notice doubling in the lettering, Roosevelt's profile, or the date. Genuine doubled dies are scarce because they originate from the die itself rather than simple mechanical movement during striking. Authentication is essential, but confirmed examples often command substantial premiums. Another valuable characteristic is an off-center strike. Instead of receiving a perfectly centered impression, the blank planchet shifts during the strike, leaving part of the design missing while exposing a crescent-shaped blank area. The greater the off-center percentage while retaining the complete date and mint mark, the more attractive the coin often becomes to collectors. Every off-center error is unique, making these pieces fascinating additions to specialized collections. Broad strike errors represent another category that captures tremendous attention. When the retaining collar fails during striking, the metal expands beyond its intended dimensions. The result is a slightly larger coin with flattened edges and distorted proportions. Although uncommon, dramatic broad strikes are recognized throughout the numismatic community as legitimate mint errors worthy of professional evaluation. Collectors also search carefully for clipped planchets. Before coins are struck, circular blanks are punched from large metal sheets. Occasionally, the punching process overlaps, leaving a curved section missing from the blank. If that defective blank reaches the striking press, the finished coin displays a distinctive missing segment that cannot be duplicated after leaving the mint. Authentic clipped planchets possess diagnostic features that grading experts use to verify their legitimacy. Another exciting possibility is the famous die crack or retained cud. As minting dies wear down from repeated use, microscopic fractures can develop. Eventually, those cracks appear as raised lines on the finished coin. In extreme situations, pieces of the die break away, producing raised blobs of metal known as cuds. Large, dramatic examples attract significant collector interest because they illustrate the intense stress experienced during coin production. There is also the possibility of die breaks, die chips, and misplaced minting pressure that create unusual raised metal formations across Roosevelt's portrait or surrounding inscriptions. While minor examples may add only modest value, spectacular and well-documented errors become highly desirable because every major error tells the story of an unexpected moment inside the mint. Now let me ask you something. If someone handed you two identical-looking dimes, would you know which one could potentially be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? Most people wouldn't. That's exactly why these treasures continue slipping through everyday transactions unnoticed. Condition plays an equally important role. Even without dramatic mint errors, elite mint state examples displaying exceptional luster, razor-sharp strike quality, and nearly flawless surfaces can command impressive premiums. Coins graded at the highest certification levels become extraordinarily difficult to locate because tiny imperfections separate average examples from the absolute finest known. Sometimes only a handful of coins achieve these elite grades, creating fierce competition whenever one appears at auction. This brings us to another critical point. Claims of ordinary 1987 Roosevelt Dimes routinely selling for $939,000 should be approached with caution. Extraordinary prices in the coin market are generally associated with unique combinations of spectacular mint errors, exceptional certified condition, historic provenance, or highly unusual circumstances. Before believing any astonishing valuation, experienced collectors always rely on authentication and grading by respected third-party services. In numismatics, evidence matters just as much as excitement. Still, history has repeatedly shown that rare error coins can surprise even veteran experts. Coins once dismissed as ordinary have later been authenticated as incredible mint mistakes, dramatically increasing their desirability. That possibility keeps collectors searching through rolls from banks, inherited collections, estate sales, and forgotten coin jars every single day. Here's another quick challenge. After this video ends, take 5 minutes to examine every Roosevelt dime you own. Look carefully at the date, the lettering, the edges, and Roosevelt's portrait. You might not discover a six-figure rarity today, but every experienced collector will tell you that remarkable finds always begin with someone willing to look when everyone else chooses not to point. One of the reasons the 1987 Roosevelt dime fascinates collectors is that important discoveries often remain hidden for years. Unlike famous key date coins that receive constant attention, modern circulation issues can quietly conceal rare mint errors because few people expect valuable treasures from relatively recent decades. That lack of attention creates opportunity for observant collectors willing to study details others overlook. The market itself has also evolved dramatically. Online auctions, professional grading services, and growing interest from investors have expanded demand for exceptional error coins. High-quality certified pieces now attract bidders from across the country and around the world. As competition increases, prices for the finest and rarest examples continue drawing headlines that inspire even more collectors to begin searching. Think about that for a moment. Somewhere in America, someone could unknowingly spend an extraordinary mint error at a grocery store this week. Another person might receive it as change and never notice. Meanwhile, an experienced collector recognizes its significance instantly. The coin never changed. Only the knowledge of the person holding it did. That's perhaps the greatest lesson in coin collecting. Wealth doesn't always announce itself with gold bars or overflowing bank accounts. Sometimes it hides inside the smallest objects we handle every day. A simple dime can become a conversation piece, a historical artifact, or, in extraordinary circumstances, an astonishing financial asset. As excitement surrounding rare error coins continues growing, collectors remain especially focused on authenticated examples with dramatic visual appeal. The stronger the error, the finer the condition, and the better the documentation, the greater the potential collector demand. Those are the ingredients that transform an ordinary-looking coin into a headline, making rarity capable of commanding extraordinary attention whenever it reaches the auction block. So before you spend another Roosevelt dime without looking, remember this story. Your next handful of pocket change might contain nothing unusual, or it might contain the discovery every collector dreams about. The only way to know is to slow down, inspect carefully, and learn exactly what separates an ordinary coin from an exceptional one. And this is only the beginning. In our next video, we're uncovering another ultra-rare American coin with an incredible history, astonishing mint errors, and a value that has shocked collectors across the nation. You won't want to miss that remarkable story, because the next hidden treasure could already be waiting in your pocket right now. What if I told you that a single Roosevelt dime from 2015 could be worth far more than a luxury mansion? Most people empty their pockets at the end of the day without giving a second thought to the coins they carry. They toss them into jars, cup holders, drawers, or vending machines, believing every dime is worth exactly 10 cents. But collectors know something completely different. They understand that one tiny detail can transform an ordinary coin into an extraordinary piece of American numismatic history. Somewhere in circulation, or perhaps hidden in an old coin collection, there could be a rare 2015 Roosevelt dime with an unusual mint error that has collectors searching day and night. The difference between a spender and a collector isn't luck. It's knowledge. While one person spends 10 cents without looking, another person discovers a hidden treasure worth thousands, or, in the most extraordinary circumstances, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Before you dismiss the change sitting on your kitchen counter, ask yourself one question. What if the next dime you pick up changes everything? The Roosevelt dime has represented American pride, resilience, and history since 1946. Created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, this small silver-colored coin has become one of the most collected denominations in the United States. By 2015, millions of Roosevelt dimes were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the small P mint mark. Most entered circulation exactly as intended. They were made to buy coffee, pay parking meters, and disappear into everyday commerce. Yet every so often, something unexpected happens inside the minting process. A microscopic mistake during production creates a coin unlike the millions surrounding it. Those rare mistakes become legendary among collectors because they can never be recreated exactly the same way again. Now here's where the story becomes fascinating. Even though billions of modern coins have been produced using advanced technology, perfection is still impossible. Every die eventually wears. Every press operates under enormous pressure. Every production line has the potential to create an accident that slips past quality control. These accidents are what serious collectors call mint errors. Unlike damage caused after a coin leaves the mint, genuine mint errors occur during production, making them authentic pieces of minting history. Take a moment and think about this. If you have a jar of loose change somewhere in your home, don't wait until the end of this video. Pause for just a minute after we're finished and check every 2015 Roosevelt dime you own. Most will be ordinary, but collectors know that extraordinary discoveries often happen where nobody bothers to look. Among the most valuable characteristics are dramatic off-center strikes. During production, if the blank planchet isn't perfectly aligned beneath the dies, the design can be struck significantly off-center. Depending on how much of the design remains visible, these errors become highly collectible. Coins showing clear dates while missing large portions of the design often command substantial premiums because they combine rarity with visual appeal. Another sought-after variety is the double die error. This occurs when the working die receives multiple impressions that are slightly misaligned during the manufacturing process. The result may appear as noticeable doubling on Roosevelt's portrait, the lettering, the date, or the inscriptions. Under magnification, collectors search carefully for these subtle but important signs. Genuine double dies are among the most respected error varieties because they originate during die creation rather than from damage after circulation. Then there are broad strike errors. Normally, a retaining collar surrounds the coin during striking, giving it its correct diameter and reeded edge. If that collar fails to engage properly, the coin expands beyond its normal size, producing a broad strike. These unusual pieces immediately stand out because their appearance differs dramatically from regular dimes. Die cracks and retained die breaks also attract attention. After striking millions of coins, tremendous stress causes dies to develop fractures. Those cracks transfer raised lines onto the coin itself. While minor cracks are common on older coins, dramatic retained die breaks can create spectacular visual features that collectors eagerly pursue. Another fascinating category involves struck-through errors. During production, grease, metal fragments, or foreign material may become trapped between the die and the planchet. Instead of transferring the design normally, portions of the coin appear weak, missing, or distorted. These accidental imperfections serve as permanent evidence of a brief malfunction during the minting process. Here's something many people never realize. Some of the most valuable discoveries are found by ordinary individuals who weren't even looking for collectibles. A cashier notices an unusual edge. A retired veteran spots strange lettering while rolling coins. A family inherits an old jar filled with decades of pocket change. Stories like these continue to inspire collectors because remarkable finds often begin with simple curiosity rather than expensive investments. But here's the catch. Not every unusual-looking coin is valuable. Scratches, dents, corrosion, environmental damage, and machine damage after leaving the mint are usually not considered collectible errors. That's why experienced numismatists rely on magnification, accurate reference guides, and professional authentication before declaring a coin rare. Education is always more valuable than assumptions. Now let me ask you another question. Have you ever spent a dime without even looking at the date? Almost everyone has. That simple habit may have caused countless rare coins to disappear back into circulation unnoticed. It's a reminder that treasure doesn't always glitter. Sometimes it's hiding inside the smallest coin in your pocket. The 2015 Roosevelt Dime has gained growing attention because modern error coins are becoming increasingly difficult to locate. Improved quality control means fewer dramatic mistakes escape the mint today than in previous generations. As a result, authenticated modern mint errors can generate significant interest whenever they appear on the market. Collectors appreciate not only the rarity of the error itself but also the challenge of finding one in the first place. Condition also plays an enormous role in determining value. Coins showing virtually no wear, brilliant original surfaces, strong luster, and sharp details consistently outperform heavily circulated examples. Professional grading services evaluate each coin carefully, assigning grades that help establish market confidence. Even small differences in grade can dramatically influence auction prices, especially when combined with a genuine mint error. This brings us to one of the biggest questions collectors ask. Can a 2015 Roosevelt Dime really be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? The truth requires careful understanding. Standard 2015 Roosevelt Dimes found in circulation are generally worth only their face value unless they feature a significant authenticated mint error or possess another exceptional characteristic. However, the rarest certified mint error coins, especially those combining multiple dramatic production errors with outstanding preservation and intense collector demand, have the potential to achieve astonishing prices in competitive auctions. Some online discussions and sensational claims mention values approaching $888,000, but such figures would represent an extraordinary, record-setting scenario requiring exceptional rarity, top-tier certification, and highly competitive bidding. Not the typical value of a 2015 dime. Always verify any high-value claim with reputable auction records and professional grading experts before assuming a coin has reached that level. The excitement surrounding rare error coins continues to grow because every year more collectors enter the hobby while the supply of spectacular discoveries remains extremely limited. Basic economics takes over. Rising demand combined with limited supply naturally creates stronger competition whenever exceptional examples appear. That's exactly why experienced collectors constantly inspect bankrolls, estate collections, flea markets, coin shows, and everyday pocket change. Here's a quick reality check. The next time someone hands you change at the grocery store, don't rush to put it away. Spend just a few extra seconds examining each dime. That tiny habit costs almost nothing, yet it could introduce you to one of America's most fascinating hobbies. Even if you never discover a record-breaking rarity, you'll begin seeing everyday money through completely different eyes. Remember, patience is one of the greatest advantages in coin collecting. The most successful collectors aren't always the wealthiest people. They're the people willing to learn, observe carefully, and recognize opportunities others overlook. Every remarkable discovery starts with someone deciding to pay attention while everyone else remains distracted. As auction activity continues to evolve and collector demand shifts, modern era coins remain an exciting area of the numismatic market. Knowledgeable buyers understand that authenticated rarity, exceptional condition, and documented provenance matter far more than internet rumors. That's why professional grading and careful research remain essential before assigning extraordinary values to any coin. So before you spend another Roosevelt dime, stop and examine it carefully. Look at the mint mark. Study the lettering. Check the edge. Search for doubling, off-center strikes, die cracks, struck through errors, or other unusual characteristics. One careful inspection could reveal something that thousands of people handled without ever noticing. The next legendary discovery isn't guaranteed to appear in a museum or an elite private collection. It could be sitting quietly inside your change jar, waiting for someone with enough curiosity to recognize its importance. That's the beauty of coin collecting. History, mystery, and opportunity can all fit in the palm of your hand. And if you think this 2015 Roosevelt Dime is impressive, wait until you see the next coin we'll uncover. In our next episode, we'll reveal an ultra-rare American coin that has stunned collectors with its incredible scarcity, remarkable minting history, and breathtaking auction potential. You won't want to miss that story, because the next life-changing treasure might already be hiding in your pocket. What if I told you that a single Roosevelt dime from 2008 could be worth more than a luxury mansion? Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out what looks like an ordinary 10-cent coin, and unknowingly spending something that serious collectors would pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to own. It sounds unbelievable, but the world of rare coins is filled with stories that prove the impossible can become reality. Every single day, millions of Americans spend coins without giving them a second glance, while experienced collectors carefully inspect every detail, hoping to discover a hidden treasure. The difference between a spender and a collector isn't luck, it's knowledge. Before this video ends, you may never look at your pocket change the same way again. The coin we're exploring today is the 2008 Roosevelt Dime, struck at the Denver Mint. At first glance, it appears almost identical to millions of other Roosevelt dimes produced that year. Most people would never stop to examine it. They toss it into vending machines, leave it in tip jars, or forget it in the bottom of a drawer. But among those ordinary coins, there are extremely rare examples with extraordinary minting characteristics that have captured the attention of elite collectors. These remarkable pieces have transformed an everyday dime into one of the most fascinating modern discoveries in American coin collecting. Before we dive deeper, here's something you should do right now. Pause for just a moment and think about the loose change sitting in your car, your kitchen drawer, or that old coin jar you've ignored for years. Could one of those dimes be hiding a valuable minting error? Thousands of collectors ask themselves that question every single day, because history has repeatedly shown that incredible discoveries often happen in the most ordinary places. The Roosevelt dime itself carries an important place in American history. Introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the design has remained one of the most recognizable in United States coinage. By 2008, billions of Roosevelt dimes had already entered circulation, making the series seem common and overlooked. Yet experienced numismatists know that rarity isn't determined by the date alone. It's determined by what happened during the minting process, and sometimes a tiny mistake inside the mint can create a coin worth a fortune. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of dimes in 2008. Nearly every one of them left the presses exactly as intended. However, a tiny number are believed to have escaped with dramatic minting abnormalities. Those are the coins that collectors desperately search for today. When an unusual error survives quality control and enters circulation, it becomes a modern treasure hunt, because every surviving example is a reminder that perfection isn't always possible inside even the most advanced minting facilities. Now let's examine the errors that generate the greatest excitement among collectors. One of the most desirable is a strong double die error. This occurs when the die receives multiple impressions during its creation that fail to align perfectly. The result can produce noticeable doubling on Roosevelt's portrait, the lettering, the date, or the inscriptions around the coin. Genuine double die examples display sharp, separated images rather than simple machine vibration. To trained collectors, this difference means everything. Another valuable variety involves an off-center strike. During production, if the coin blank is not properly positioned beneath the dies, part of the design may be missing while the remaining details stay crisp and fully struck. Depending on the percentage of the off-center strike and whether the date remains visible, collector demand can increase dramatically. These unusual pieces immediately stand apart from ordinary circulation coins because their appearance is impossible to ignore. Broad strike errors also attract significant attention. Without the retaining collar functioning correctly, the metal spreads beyond its normal diameter during striking. The coin becomes wider than expected while losing its traditional raised edge. Collectors appreciate broad strikes because they provide clear evidence of a mechanical malfunction during production, creating a fascinating story behind every example. Perhaps even more exciting are dramatic die cracks and retained die breaks. As minting dies wear down from repeated use under tremendous pressure, fractures can develop across their surfaces. Every subsequent coin struck by that damaged die carries raised lines corresponding to those cracks. While minor cracks are relatively common, bold and visually striking die breaks are much scarcer and often become centerpiece items within specialized collections. Then there are clipped planchets. Before striking, coin blanks are punched from large sheets of metal. Occasionally, an improper overlap during this process creates blanks with curved sections missing from the edge. When struck, these coins retain their unusual shape while displaying the complete design across the remaining surface. Authentic clipped planchets are highly collectible because they represent an error occurring before the coin even reached the striking press. But here's where things become truly fascinating. Condition can completely transform value. Two identical error coins may differ in price by tens of thousands of dollars simply because one survived in exceptional condition while the other experienced years of circulation wear. Collectors pay extraordinary premiums for coins that preserve original mint luster, sharp details, and minimal contact marks. That's why grading plays such a critical role in today's market. Professional grading services examine every microscopic detail before assigning an official grade. A coin receiving a mint state 67, 68, or even the elusive mint state 69 enters an entirely different price category compared to average circulated examples. Modern coins in near-perfect condition are surprisingly difficult to find because even tiny scratches from mint handling can reduce their final grade. Here's another attention check. If you have a magnifying glass nearby, this is the perfect time to grab it. Most valuable mint errors cannot be fully appreciated with the naked eye. The smallest doubling, the faintest die crack, or the slightest striking abnormality may be the feature that separates a 10-cent coin from an extraordinary collectible. It's amazing how something smaller than a fingernail can completely change a coin's future. Now let's talk about why collectors sometimes refer to certain 2008 Roosevelt Dime errors as ghost coins. The nickname comes from how rarely they appear on the open market. Many are believed to remain hidden in private collections, forgotten jars, inherited estates, or safety deposit boxes. Others may still circulate unnoticed because the average person simply doesn't know what to look for. That mystery fuels continuous demand, as collectors hope the next remarkable discovery could happen tomorrow. Auction houses have repeatedly demonstrated that rarity combined with exceptional preservation can produce astonishing prices. When a modern era coin possesses an unusual combination of dramatic minting mistakes, outstanding eye appeal, documented authenticity, and elite condition, competitive bidding can rise far beyond original expectations. Wealthy collectors understand that opportunities to acquire truly exceptional examples are extremely limited, and scarcity often drives prices higher than logic alone would suggest. Some online discussions have mentioned extraordinary theoretical values approaching $943,000 for an exceptionally rare, unique quality 2008 Roosevelt Dime featuring spectacular mint errors, flawless preservation, and extraordinary collector demand. While ordinary 2008 dimes remain worth only face value, and most verified error coins sell for far less depending on the specific error, condition, rarity, and market demand. The possibility of discovering an extraordinary example continues to fuel excitement throughout the numismatic community. Every serious collector understands that authenticated rarity, not the date alone, is what creates record-breaking auction results. Think about that for a moment. How many dimes have passed through your hands over the past decade? Hundreds? Thousands? How many were examined carefully before being spent? Probably very few. That's exactly why hidden treasures continue to surface. The overwhelming majority of people simply aren't looking. Here's something that often surprises beginners. Cleaning a coin almost always reduces its collector value. Many people believe polishing makes a coin more desirable, but experienced collectors prefer untouched surfaces that preserve the original finish. If you believe you found an unusual 2008 Roosevelt Dime, resist the temptation to clean it. Store it carefully, handle it only by the edges, and consider professional authentication before making any decisions. The current coin market remains driven by increasing interest in modern mint errors. As more collectors enter the hobby and online auctions expand worldwide participation, competition for exceptional discoveries continues to grow. Every major sale inspires another generation of treasure hunters to search through pocket change with renewed excitement. That growing demand means overlooked coins receive more attention today than ever before. Imagine telling your family that the dime sitting in an old coffee can for years turned out to be one of the most exciting modern discoveries imaginable. Stories like these capture the imagination because they remind us that remarkable opportunities sometimes hide in plain sight. While most pocket change will never become valuable, the possibility that one overlooked coin could rewrite its owner's financial story keeps collectors searching every single day. So, before you spend another Roosevelt dime, slow down. Examine the date. Look for the Denver Mint mark. Inspect the lettering, the edges, the portrait, and every tiny detail under magnification. Search for doubling, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, broad strikes, or any feature that looks unusual. Knowledge is the collector's greatest advantage, and every careful inspection increases the chance of finding something extraordinary. Remember, the real treasure isn't simply the money. It's recognizing what everyone else overlooks. That's the mindset separating casual spenders from passionate collectors. Every coin tells a story, but only the rarest examples have the power to change someone's collection, and perhaps even their future. And if you think today's 2008 Roosevelt Dime was incredible, wait until you discover the next ultra-rare coin we'll reveal. Its minting mistake is even more mysterious. Its surviving population may be even smaller, and the auction prices have left seasoned collectors absolutely stunned. You won't want to miss what comes next.